Welcome back. You're watching Newsmaker Live with me, Kendal, Burton. My guest, Mr. Guy Josephs, Castries Southeast MP, former Works Minister. We were talking about some of the allegations leveled at you before the break. I want to go in a different direction, but we have a call. Let's take that call and then we can talk a little more. Good evening, you're on the air. Okay, we lost that call. I know one of the issues that your party, the opposition, United Workers' Party, has had is with the implementation of VAT. Specifically VAT on medications. I know you have other issues and concerns with VAT. What are some of those?
One of the issues I want to raise, and I want to raise this because Parliament is supposed to be a respectable place. Many times, the sitting government, they have tried to make me look like I don't know what I'm speaking about. I will give you one example. At the last sitting of Parliament, I raised the issue of VAT or duties on barrels that should have ended in February was still, people were being charged by the end of January 31st. Now, I was told I said December 31st, but I know that my intention was to say January 31st that they started charging. The Prime Minister responded to me by saying he thinks that I have my information wrong. Now, I want to know if this is coincidental, because today I have a memo in my hand dated the 11th of February 2014. The subject is exemption of VAT on barrels 1st to 15 February 2014. Now, is it any coincidence that I raised the issue on the 11th and this memo is coming from the government to customs on the 11th? But the most interesting part of it here is what it says.
What's the date on that memo?
The 11th of February 2014.
Okay.
The same day of Parliament when I raised the matter. Now, the memo doesn't say time. So if it said what time the memo was sent, I would have been able to pinpoint it more accurately. But I knew I was right, because while I was making my presentation, on WhatsApp, a message was sent to me of an invoice that somebody had just been charged duty, and the Prime Minister said that could not be. But here's what it says. In this case, officers cannot utilize the HS whatever 999, but it says where the goods imported are within the qualifying goods for the barrel concession, they should correctly be classified as goods unused. The relief code, in order to provide the exemption for the VAT. In short, goods which meet the conditions for barrel concessions will be exempted from the VAT only if imported between the 1st and the 15th. So it says it should have been classified. So it is a clear indication to me that somebody slipped up, did not do what they had to do. But you know what? The Prime Minister tried to make it look like I was the one misleading the people, when he was the one, based on this document that was sent on the same day of Parliament. And I believe it was only sent after I made the observation. But these are the subtle things that happens, because the government have the majority. So when they speak, the Prime Minister is the last one. He has the final say. So when I raise issues, I don't raise issues that I cannot substantiate.
Okay, we have a call. Let's take that call and we can continue our conversation. Good evening, you're on the air.
Hi, Kendal. This is Julia Manuel, the Prime Minister's
Yes, ma'am. How are you?
I'm doing good, thank you. There are two matters that I want to address with you tonight, and I will take the issue that Honorable Guy Joseph was just speaking about first, and that is the issue of the concession and the barrels. And I think it is very important that we set this matter straight. When the House of Assembly met on the 11th of February, Honorable Guy Joseph did make an announcement in the House that there needs to be an explanation as to why the concessions on the barrels have ended, and like he did indicate, the date that he referenced was the 31st of December 2013, and he just indicated that his intention was to say January 31st, and I accept that. When this charge was made by him in the House of Assembly, the Prime Minister then proceeded to verify from the Customs Department, because basically this is the only way that you would know what exactly is happening, because unless, of course, the Prime Minister goes to clear a barrel. And so he called the Controller of Customs to find out what exactly is the issue at hand, because Honorable Guy Joseph has just made a claim in the House of Assembly that the concessions on the barrels ended on December 31st, 2013. Then the Prime Minister was advised that according to the document that they have received from the House of Assembly, which is what would authorize the Customs Department to exempt the taxes, that the document stated the January 31st, 2014. So it would mean that coming out of the House of Assembly, the SI that was sent to Customs would have been the original one that came before the House of Assembly, which indicated that the concessions would be for a period up to January 31st, 2014. If you would recall what exactly happened in the House of Assembly when that matter came late last year, is that the government proposed concessions up to the 31st of January 2014. However, Honorable Richard Frederick, just as he did the year prior, made a plea that it be amended and extended to February 15th, 2014 because of the state of the economy, and to allow, in fact, he did not ask February 15th. He asked up until the end of February. And just as was done the year before, they met halfway and the Prime Minister agreed and the House voted. And so you would have expected the amendment of February 15th, 2014. And so if the House of Assembly has agreed up until February 15th, then the assumption, the reasonable assumption, is that the Customs Department would then be instructed with all of the information that the concessions are up to February 15th. When the error was spotted, the correction was made, the Prime Minister spoke with the Controller of Customs and it was corrected. A statement was made and individuals have queried, and the Prime Minister did indicate that if you were charged between January 31st and February 15th, the duties on the barrels, you simply go to the Customs Department or the Ministry for Finance, you write, you provide your receipt, and you will be refunded, because the House agreed. And nobody has the authority to go outside of what has been agreed, that it would be up until February 15th, 2014. And this clarifies the matter. Absolutely nothing to do with the Prime Minister trying to dismiss claims made, absolutely nothing to do with the Prime Minister trying to mislead the people of St. Lucia. It was an oversight not on the part of the Prime Minister or the Minister for Finance, but it had to do with the proper documents being transferred, which would serve as the authorization. The Prime Minister cannot give authorization on his own to have taxes withdrawn, to give concessions. It is a decision made by the House of Assembly. Now that I have addressed this matter, I just want to inform Honorable Guy Joseph and your listeners that all of the questions that he's asking and the clarifications that he is now calling for from the Deputy Prime Minister, the Deputy Prime Minister will be hosting a press conference tomorrow at the Ministry of Infrastructure at 10:30 a.m. and he'll be addressing the claims, the accusations, and all of the questions that Honorable Guy Joseph is asking for. Thank you very much.
Thanks for calling. Mr. Joseph?
That is exactly the point I am making. I said that somebody slipped up. And when I presented the information in the Prime Minister's response to me, he was pointing out that I had it wrong, that this was not happening, that he just called the customs. And then that was not the case. But the matter was corrected, and it was subtle how it was done. Because I was not targeting the Prime Minister. I don't think that it is the Prime Minister's responsibility to see to it that the SI goes to. There's somebody responsible. I agree the Prime Minister cannot do everything. But rather than accepting that, look here, somebody slipped up and somebody didn't do what they were supposed to do. You know what the intention was? To make it look like, here goes Guy Joseph again. He continues to give misleading information to the House, because I was the one who was made to look like, because when he responded to me, when I came back on another subject, I took some liberty that the House don't usually afford. The Speaker didn't have time to stop me. But I said, but Prime Minister, you said that this is not so. And look, I just received the information that somebody was just charged. So, I mean, what the caller is saying there, I know what the caller is saying, but there is the point I am making, I stand by it, that on several occasions I have raised matters in the House that I know to be right. But the government comes and they wave papers and they do this and they say you are wrong. Here's a prime example that I knew I was right on this matter. I knew that people were being charged, but here I was told you have it wrong.
Okay, we have another call. Let's take that call. Good evening, you're on the air.
Hi, good night.
Hi.
Good night, Mr. Joseph.
Hello. Good night.
Hi. Mr. Joseph, can you give us proper information? Are you saying that WASCO was wrong with the initial assessment as to the desilting of the intake?
No, I said if in 1993 that was...
No, I'm not interested in the date. I'm interested in the cost.
I don't understand what you are asking.
Yeah, but what he's saying, caller, is that the cost would have been impacted by...
No. Listen to me. Listen, let me ask my questions. I want to find out, right, how much it cost at the time that the invoice was sent to Mr. Joseph and the ministry from WASCO.
I'm not understanding what you're asking. Okay. If I'm allowed to just...
The initial, just now, listen to me, Mr. Joseph, the initial cost of the desilting, how much the initial cost was?
It was $65,561.72.
Right. What makes the difference, Mr. Joseph?
But I think he explained that. He explained that earlier, caller.
Listen to me. Can you let Mr. Joseph answer my question? I'm not asking you a question. Let Mr. Joseph. How can he determine that the cost jumped from 63,000 to 200-something thousand?
Thank you very much for your call. He's asking you to explain again how the price jumped from $65,561 to over $240,000.
I said that the intakes were being utilized.
Apparently he didn't hear you.
1993, 1995. They had been in use. So if there was an assessment made, and these things never came to me, you know. I never saw any of these documents in my dealings in the ministry. All of these documents was dealt with by permanent secretaries, engineers, and these people. I have never been the one. I'm only seeing some of these things now. You see, because the perception that, because you see it, my brother was involved, you know what? He could not come to me. And for those who have the perception that I may have done something for him to get extra money, if I had done something for him to get extra money, you think all these letters and all these circulars would have gone up and down? He could not come to my office and say, I have problems with payments, because he knew that if he worked for the ministry, he went through the channel like every other contractor would go through if there was a problem with the bill. And that is what he went through, and that is why you see all these circulars going up and down. Not for once did it come to me that I as minister had to intervene and say to do this or to do that.
Okay, let's take another call. Good evening, you're on the air.
Hello.
Hi.
Yes, Mr. Guy, you have done a good job, but I think as parliamentarians, it's up to the parliamentarians to make their voice be heard whilst they're in parliament. Because from inception of 97, that Labour Party has used tarnishing people's reputation to get the end. They have manipulated that thing so well. I don't know what can you all do. And I blaming your parliamentarians, you know. You all don't put your feet where you all believe your actions supposed to be in the house. And what makes matter real with, There's a lawyer we know within breadth and length where he lies, and I think he's overriding his powers. That's not an allegation. I believe there's certain things he allowed to happen and certain things he just don't allow to happen, and it is within your rights to sometimes to make your voice be heard. And that particular minister keeps on using Parliament, and I don't think he can use those allegations anywhere else than in Parliament. And you'll need to take serious stand against those.
All right, thank you very much for your call.
I don't think we can tolerate that anymore.
Thank you very much. I think the caller, you had some difficulty hearing, is making issue with some of the occurrences in Parliament and suggesting that you need to put your foot down and draw a line somewhere. I know you had some issues with the way things are conducted in Parliament, so we'll take a break, and when we come back, we'll address those issues.